What's going on, guys? Kyger here. Barong's been added to the game, and that changed up the Magic Circle cheat sheet. I wanted to show you two separate ones, one for free-to-play players, one for pay-to-win players, as well as some things I think you need to look at when you're making these decisions. Let's get into it.
마지막 한 송이가 시들어간다. 하느끼는 최후의 기도 속에서 신은 최후의 선택을 내린다.
Alright, guys, so starting off, we got the free-to-play Magic Circle right here. So these are the four that you can get farming, that you can definitely get whichever one you want, and then try to get them as high as humanly possible, obviously. You have Brave, Capybara, you have Friendly, Dragon. This is attack and HP. And then what's interesting here is Naughty and Sensitive, the middle ones. There are other options, but I believe these are the best two to go after if you want bang for your buck. The reason being, Debuff Mastery from Cat right here with Naughty, or Sensitive Dragon over on the other side, Debuff Resistance, ends up being damage increase or damage reduction as long as the target has CC or a slow or some kind of crowd control, a debuff. Debuff Mastery, if your target is debuffed, one of the three major types, decelerate, blah blah blah, then you will have damage increase against that target. Conversely, with the Dragon Debuff Resistance, if you are debuffed, then you take less damage. And I believe these are more important in more overall game modes than One Heart, for example, which gives you you have the two. You have the offensive one that lets you do more damage if you're in a group, and you have the defensive one that makes you take less damage if there's multiple enemies. And while that is good, I believe this is comes up more often. It also works in PvE. Tons of great stuff there. Then down at the bottom, we have the secondary stats: crit break and block tenacity. This is going to depend on your build and your server. If you're a class that depends on crit, such as marksman or armor, for example, then you would obviously want the crit dragon. If you want more break, you would do otter. As far as the block and tenacity, that's really going to depend on your server. If you want to be looking at the people you're generally fighting, if they have a lot more crit, you want tenacity. If they have a lot more break, you want block. As far as what to put in the center, this is going to depend on what you're doing. If you're doing PvE, such as bosses or whatnot, the otter down here is going to be your best bet, because even though the stack is slightly weaker than the dragon, it stacks on itself, so it will do the most over time. If you're not at level 4 garden yet, or level 4 forest, then you can use dragon in the meantime for PvE. As far as PvP, if you're 1v1, I like to bring Capybara, but if you're worried about dying in one shot, you're definitely going to want to bring Cat and kind of preemptively make sure, like a second before you actually make contact, because it does get you out of CC, but it needs to read that you're in CC, and then you can click it. By that time, you're probably dead. You need to click it right before you're expecting the CC to get the full effect. Obviously, it's going to require one of the red books, and that you can get that free to play just by doing more summons on the pet gacha. You will get, I think it's every 4 or 5 rotations, there's a guaranteed red book. But I generally like, especially if you're doing things without fairies, such as Top League, the cat you can bring just for the shield, or you can bring Capybara to lock down one person for your team to kill. Now let's go on to the pay to win circle, and then I have some other stuff to talk about down here. Pay to win circle, obviously Brave, we have Barong. 55% is a lot, but that 55% for a pay to win player could actually be 65% once we look a little bit later. Friendly, it's still Dragon, but we do know another 55% damage decrease is coming. I could put Barong over there as well for friendly to show that he does have a 5.5, but that is the worst possible. It's best to just wait for the next pet. We don't know if it's the next pet or down the road, but we're expecting the next pet to be a dragon replacement. Naughty is still Cat because that debuff mastery, and then Sensitive is the same with what we had the dragon, but the fox gives more debuff resistance. For example, the cat does 50% debuff mastery, and the fox over there gives 50% debuff resistance. I think the dragon was in the 30 somethings. And then down here we're still doing crit break, and then for resolute the only change was Gym Bunny for block, because it goes from 7k to 10k block. Now as far as what to use in game modes, it's still going to be down here. The otter for PvE is really good, and then for PvP generally you're going to want to bring the cat in fairy PvP, especially if you have both the red books, reflect damage, several seconds of ignore CC. That's obviously very, very good. Another option, especially in Top League, probably the best Top League one would be Fox, giving you that heal, that shield, a bunch of great stuff for PvP and Top League, because there's no fairies and whatnot to worry about. Once you get to the very top end, if you want to just be DPS only, like you don't care about the sustainability of the cat or the fox, what you can do is the otter does give a great crit buff, and then the bunny does the same thing but for break, and they can hit like absolute trucks if you know you're always going to crit, or if you know if you're going to always break. They are fine as the damage dealer, but in fairy PvP I would still recommend bringing the cat, but these are the options available to you. Now the last things I wanted to talk about was I have 4 screenshots here of the star signed bond. So some of these you can't do as free to play, because 3 of them, 3 of the pets you just don't have access to. Well, 2 of them, because you can get a barong, you can get a couple barongs, but you get 5. So you can't activate any of the barongs because it requires T1 level 5. So you would need a 6th to even unlock the level 1 version of any of the barong ones. So I'm acting as if those don't exist for you. And yes, if you're free to play and you got a Brave Barong, go ahead and use it. These are supposed to be able to be used in, once the event is over, still be able to be used. But the star sign here, these are some stats you can get for raising the star signs of the two. So looking at the Barong one right here that the free-to-play can't get, but this is what I meant by 55% isn't 55%. Every 5 levels, so T1 level 5, level 10, and then T2, 5, and 10, and it goes up like that. If you max out Barong and max out Bunny, you're getting 10% damage increase. So that 55% is really 65% for a pay-to-win player, as long as they get bunnies going. We can also, with the Fox, we can get some damage reduction. I don't really care about this other stuff. It's obviously good, but this was a big one I wanted to bring to people's attention. And then some of the ones where you can actually get it, right? This is a must-have PvE one right here. Catfire Meteor. It's Cat and Dragon, which are both farmable. This will give you PvE damage increase. Damage to boss increase. 1.6%. There's 10 stacks, so 16% damage to boss. This is great for PvE. Damage reduction, obviously great for everything, but you're not going to activate anything with Barong. And then Ignore Block is really great. If you just have Max Ninja plus this 1670, 86% Ignore Block for a Max Ninja skill advancement plus Capybara and Dragon. Then right here, we already looked at this one. It shows you the different ones. But protection rate, obviously 10% protection rate is great, but it's going to require bunnies, which isn't farmable. This one's farmable. Tide Moon Whisper, Cat and Otter, which is going to be 10% damage increase. So you definitely want, if you bring up Otter, Cat, and Dragon, these three, you'll activate both of these. You'll get 10% damage increase and 16% damage to boss increase, which is obviously damage for everything and then damage against PvE. And the last one was, I wanted to show you pierce rate and damage to adventure. Obviously damage to adventure reduction, but PvP increase from Gem Fox and Bunny. Sorry, Heavenly Fox and Gem Bunny. This is, no one has this right now unless you saved several bunnies and foxes. But the fox and the bunny are the two that people don't really have right now. So those we can kind of skip worrying about. But the ones I want to definitely call attention to is Catfire Meteor, Tide Moon Whisper. These two are very, very important. Already talked about that. Ignore Block can be good if you're going that direction. And in the future, when we get some Gym Bunnies, Barong is going to be 65%. Let me know what you guys think down below. Till next time, guys.